You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
My time is yours.
I was the last man standing.
I am the man, and the man feels no pressure.
You are facing a fuel-injected suicide machine. Fear from the man that rules the world.
I'm the man. When I walk, the ground shakes. I am the master, and I am the ruler of the world.
You are now entering the Vicious Circle.
And there we go. We are on the Vicious Circle. How are you doing, Sid?
Doing good, man. I've got you on the picture now, but I see where it says my name and Maggie's name, but I don't see either one of us on there.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're having some kind of technical difficulty tonight. Sid is there, and we have a guest of his, Maggie. Can you hear us, Maggie?
Maggie, you there?
I'm here.
There we
I
go.
couldn't hear y'all.
Okay. No, we'll introduce you. Everybody tonight, this is a friend of mine, Maggie. She's I got the chance to meet her. I don't know when did we meet Maggie? About 7-8 years ago?
2009.
Oh God, is that long? Okay, yeah. Almost 11 years ago.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other a while. But no, we
Yep.
keep in contact and stuff like that, and we talk a lot. Just she's a good friend of mine, and I told you we've got a friendly bet going on that I'm betting on Donald Trump to lose, and she's betting on him to win. Now, we talked a little bit about this last week, Rob, where I've never voted, so I don't really know much about politics. But if I was to vote, I would consider myself a Republican.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying Donald Trump's not going to get voted in because I just feel like there's just so many people against him. And then Maggie's got some really good insights on that and a different perspective than you and I have, Rob. I know you're not a Donald Trump supporter at all, right?
Well, we talked about this, and actually Maggie and I talked just a bit before the show. It's not a not support Donald Trump. It's trying to figure out exactly what's true out of all the chaos that's being
Right.
thrown on the table. Because
Gotcha.
when he first got elected, one of my cool things, I didn't like how he ran. But when he was elected, I'm thinking, okay, this is new. Something new can shake up
Right.
and I was praying. But now I don't know what's true and what's not with half of the stuff going on out there.
No, that's the thing is, this is what I feel like. I think half of it is probably about half true and half's not true. And that's where you got to sort of take politics. You know, I mean, just like, I remember watching Donald Trump's speeches. I really watched the election this past time. And I said, man, this guy is promising a whole lot. I said, there's no way he's going to be able to do all this stuff. And then I heard Joe Biden say some things on his first speech, all the things he said he's going to do. And there's no way he's going to do all those things either. They just say all these things they like to get done, and that's politics. And we do know this much. Donald Trump is not a politician. He says what he feels. He's one thing we do know about, he's honest. We get that much from him.
Mm-hmm.
He might not hear what we want to hear, but we hear what he's thinking.
100% true there.
And then Maggie's got also a really good perspective on the virus. We talked a little bit last week, or no, I'm not sorry, last week, Sunday, that her faith is a little stronger than mine. It's just because she's been in church longer than I have. But she's also I think she's got a really cool perspective on that part too. Maggie, you remember us talking about that?
I do, and I truly believe it. Like I said, I'm
Maggie?
just a normal person. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Rob?
Yeah. Can you hear
Hello?
us, Sid?
No, I can't hear her.
Can you hear me?
Here, 1 second. I'm going
Hear
to
you now.
there. Go ahead, Maggie.
I was just taught that back in the Bible in the old days in Exodus, they had a lot of plagues, And the one plague that they had to sacrifice the lamb and put the blood on the post around the doors. And everybody that had this blood on those doors, the plague passed them. They weren't harmed.
Right.
Well, then you get over here in the New Testament in John, and they talk about Jesus being the Lamb of God. Well, he was sacrificed, he was crucified for us to be saved, all our sins or anything that was bad. So to me, I plead the blood of Jesus upon myself, my family, our home, the people that I love. And I just take it that that plague or whatever's bad is going to pass me. It's just how I feel.
Well, you told me the story too, Maggie, where you told me a story about one time the tornado was coming toward y'all, and you prayed and it went around y'all. Remember you telling me that story?
Oh, could you hear Sid, Maggie? I don't know if she can hear either of us. Maggie,
about
well, you said that
I can hear it's breaking up, but I can hear you some.
Okay, well,
about the story about the tornado, it was headed our way.
Right.
We lived out in a different place. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. You go ahead.
I think there's a bit of a lag.
There's a big delay there, Rob. What it is. Rob, we might get you to ask her the questions because she's having a hard time hearing me.
Okay. You can hear me, Maggie?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Can you hear Sid talking?
I can.
Oh, okay, cool. So you were talking about the tornado.
Yes, sir. We had just moved to this place out in a little place called Liddyville, and I hadn't been. I've never really been scared of things, but I was scared that night. Our home was rocking. You could look out. I mean, everything, the trees all around us, and all I could do is put my hands on the walls. I kept walking down the hallway, put my hands on the walls, claiming Jesus' name, rebuking this in Jesus' name, that it was going to go away. And when I tell you, it split and went around both sides of my home. Now, it tore up things for 5 miles down my house. It tore up things for miles before it got to my house, but it split and it went around my home. And like I said, he's never forsaken me. He's always taken care of me. And that's just how I believe. I don't push my beliefs on anybody else, because we got to seek out our own soul salvation. We have to learn that God is, Jesus is my best friend. And I talk to him like I talk to Sid or you know, and it's, prayers are good if you don't understand how to pray, but he listens when you just talk. And to me, that's the most important thing.
Well, you know, Maggie, I might have told you this before. I think I've told Rob this, that, you know, I always had a problem. I didn't think I think a lot of people wonder too if they're praying right. Hello? So the buddy of mine named Brandon Wallace, who got me going to church pretty much, I told him I was having a hard time praying, and he's working to be a minister. He gave me a book called the Common Prayer Book, and it gives you a day to read. It tells you something to read in the Old Testament, something in the New Testament. Then it talks about someone pretty cool, like Martin Luther King, or if it's Black History Month that month, we'll talk about somebody like that or someone else pretty cool. And then it says a small little prayer. And it really helped me feel like I was saying a better prayer at night. Because sometimes I feel like I'd get halfway through a prayer and catch myself not saying amen and forget I was even praying. So I knew I was working on it. So even that I've had a hard time with. This is one thing I've learned about church, and this is where, you know, I sound weird saying things like this, but I've been taught through church it's okay to have doubt. Like, you know, I hate saying this, but even when we do our readings at church, they always talk about, he was crucified, was raised on the third day and stuff like that. And it talks, when you read in depth about that, I always go, hold on a minute. That really didn't happen. And then I feel bad about that, but I'm being told it's okay to have that doubt. Maggie, how do you feel about having doubt like that?
I'm here. I could hear part of it. It's kind of got the little lag in it, but I think I understand what he's saying. I don't know about doubt as far as for me. Like I said, everybody reaches their own, you take babies where you got to get. That's just a learning process. I've been at it all my life. I don't doubt. There's been times when I've been afraid that well, I'll give you an example. In 1987, I had to have some surgery done. And it was just like the devil sat on my shoulder saying, you're not going to wake up. You're not going to wake up. I had 3 small kids and a husband. And I asked my husband to leave the room, and I got down on my knees and I was praying, and it was just like a motion picture. And God said, remember when? And everything that he had done or handled or taken care of over the years began to flood back in my memories. Right. And when I got up, I knew that I was going to be all right. I was home within the week. I was supposed to be gone 3 weeks. I was home in 7 days. I was not supposed to even be able to walk by myself or drive or anything. I was doing all that within 2 weeks. It just, the devil he plays on us, and he makes us fear things that we shouldn't fear.
Now, Maggie, we talked
makes
about
you doubt.
Right, he does. And I think one thing I've learned about what little bit I know about church is the word believe. You have to believe. You have to believe in Jesus. You have to believe in God. You have to believe all these things really happen. And if you don't believe, that's supposedly the one sin that's not forgiven. Now, Maggie, what do you think about how's the pandemic doing down in Louisiana? We see all these bad things on the news. How are y'all doing down in Louisiana?
I can't hear.
Oh, he asked how things were going with the pandemic down in Louisiana. Can you hear me?
Everybody, I've known a few people that had yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. We got you, Maggie.
There's been a few people around here, but everybody's recovered fine. They've either had the Z-Pack or some sort. Now, I think some of the older folks it's been harder on, but as far as the young folks, in a week or so, they're bouncing back to normal.
One thing I found out, Sid, our buddy Dean from England, the Isle of Man?
Yeah.
He got a hold of me today. He had coronavirus. Like, he got the COVID in March.
Really?
Yep. And it took him a couple weeks to recover. I'm just going to pull up what he said. Where was it? Yeah, it was over in a few weeks, but he was very ill for over 2 weeks with it.
Wow.
And yeah, so I had no idea. But I guess now the island that they're on, that Isle of Man, they've kind of locked that off, and they haven't had cases in, how long did he say? In 75 days, there has been no new cases. But he's 100% right, too. That lockdown cannot last. It can't survive.
No.
So, and that's what the hardest part is trying to figure out. Oh, so go ahead, Maggie.
It seems like that over the years, in 1965 was Corona. The last big pandemic we had was in 1918, Spanish flu. I'm not saying that people don't get sick and there's not bad things, but they need to make up their mind. And I'm not trying to be ugly. 1 minute they tell you the rain's going to wash it away. 1 minute they say when summer comes, the heat's going to take it.
Right.
It just, Then they'll tell you not to take this hydrochloroxine. I can't say the word,
Chloroquine.
but the people that I know that's what they've taken and they've been all right. Yeah. It's just, it really amazes me at some of the things that most people that are having to wear a mask that work at Walmart. I was talking to a lady today. They hate it. They hate it. They're not about it. They don't see that many sick people come through. I just, when I go in Walmart, I plead the blood of Jesus over myself and anybody else I come across. I can't wear a mask. It makes me hyperventilate. It gives me anxiety. So I don't wear one. But people that need to, I'm glad they do if they feel they need to. That's just kind of a self thing, but I don't think it should be forced.
No, I don't think it should be forced. But I mean, I think right now, and this is what they said about the virus from the beginning. I think everyone has said that the scientists and doctors said they don't really know what to expect from this virus. They're learning like we are through it as we go. But I do think the mask has proven to help out. Now, but you can do the same thing. They say just staying 6 feet apart. That's just as safe as a mask.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Well,
I'm wearing a mask.
I saw a video. I saw a video the other night. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Maggie.
I saw a video the other evening when he had a mask on, but he was vaping. He was smoking.
Yeah.
And when he blew, it all come through that mask.
Right.
I've heard people say that, it bothers your oxygen level. I guess it all depends on the person. Like some can wear it, some can't. And if you feel comfortable with it.
Well, I'm claustrophobic. And I remember when I started wearing a mask way before they started telling people to wear one. Because I just knew that my uncle, who is an AIDS expert, he said he's the one that told me just wear a mask, wash your hands. And that is a virus just like AIDS. So I was doing that way before they were. But I noticed when I'd go to Walmart and wear a mask, and when I first started wearing one, I caught myself getting anxious and short-tempered. And I was going over to Sam's and Walmart on the weekends with some friends of mine, and we were all wearing masks. And next thing you know, we're in traffic fights with people because that mask does makes me claustrophobic and all that. I don't like wearing it, but I'm wearing it for my own safety.
Well, some people just can't. Like you said, they get it over their face and it causes claustrophobia, it causes anxiety. They have proven that it doesn't slow down the oxygen flow because doctors wear them all the time, every day for surgery. So it does not slow the oxygen. It's all a person, like you guys are saying.
Right.
If you feel claustrophobic, it's going to drive you crazy.
Well, I could be just in a tight spot and be claustrophobic. So a mask is definitely, and I've got asthma. So I have a hard time breathing anyway, especially this time of year.
Yep. But I think too, that's where we get the problem. Is it safe to wear a mask? Is it not safe? There's so many different articles you can read that say things.
Right. That's the thing is it's so, like Maggie said, it's so confusing out there. Everybody's saying that it's going to go away with the heat, this and that. They don't know what a second wave is. And it is confusing, real confusing.
Huge. Now, I was talking to Sid about this earlier, and I'm going to throw it up here real quick. There is an actor by the name of Chris Evans. Okay. And he was confused by everything going on as well. So what he did is he put together this website, and it's called A Starting Point, right? astartingpoint.com is the website. And he sits down with people and discusses all these things: economy, education, environment, government. And to the point that he actually gets discussions between some Democrats and Republicans about certain topics. So you can go on here and educate yourself on what scientists are saying, what facts there are. It's not, you don't have to rely on what people tell you.
Right.
And I found that amazing. This is Chris Evans here. He plays Captain America in the Marvel movies.
Oh, okay.
And he took the initiative and started doing this, and it took off like gangbusters. So this site has tons of fact on it if you want to go take a peek. I've looked at a couple articles and they're very, very interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, you were pulling that up. That is pretty cool.
But that helps because, like you said, when you have
Absolutely.
when they're fighting politically, so one side says one thing and the other side says another thing, and you don't know which side's right, then you can go here and say, okay, what are the facts? And then you can read the facts, and you'll probably see, like Sid and I've said, there's some truth on all sides, but they pepper it to make the other side not as trustworthy.
Right. And that's what's so confusing. And me, Maggie talked about, I've talked about Rob. I'm consider myself independent. I'm in the middle. I want to know the truth. I don't care if it's harmful or hurts my feelings. I want to know the truth, especially over something like this. But they're not saying, even the doctors aren't saying wear a mask. They're saying it now, but they didn't say it at first. You know.
And even then, the doctors and the scientists, they give you generalizations. I did see some of the hearing, and I think it was Jim Jordan was saying, are protests bad? But Dr. Fauci was saying, I'm not going to tell you protests are bad. Groups are bad. It doesn't matter. Protest or it's a rally. Groups are bad.
Groups are bad.
I like how they do that. You need to be able to take the information from it.
Maggie, what do you think about all the statues being taken down?
I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I think it's a disgrace that they should try and change our history. That's ridiculous. Regardless whether it's good or bad, it's part of this America's history, and if it was put up there to begin with to honor, it should have stayed there. And all this destruction and these protests. Now, I understand protesting for what you feel if you do it right, but the looting, the destroying people's property, those should be jail sentences. And these mayors and governors that are allowing this in this state, then turn around and ask for money to help rebuild and all. I say, shoot, no. You allowed it. You should have got in here. And defunding the police, I don't think so. And
No, this is the thing is, this pandemic, and I think we probably all agree, this pandemic has caused a lot of tension everywhere. Politics, these protests.
Oh, are you still there, Sid?
It's just sad. It's sad. It's like we've turned back time instead of went forward, because 95% of the people that I know, I don't, it doesn't matter what color you are. I treat you how you treat me. And if you're good to me, I'm good to you, period.
Well, I believe this. I've always said this, when I started traveling and I got into the wrestling business, I was a little embarrassed sometimes to say I was from the South because of the Civil War. And this is just my opinion. The Civil War was the stupidest war of all. There were so many people died in that thing for the wrong reason. But I say this, if there's a statue up there, you shouldn't take it down unless you go about it the right way and you have the right way to do all these things is go the law and try to get it, taken down like that. If you go somewhere and tear something down and burn it and throw it into the river, that's looting, that's stealing, that's destruction of property. Now, I can see where, where that could bother people, but there's a lot of things out there that could be questioned like that, not just these Confederate statues. There's a lot of statues and things like that out there that probably, I didn't know that some of these people were what they said they were, like George Washington. I don't see how, again, you can't take down his statue because something he did, 100 years ago.
It depends on why it was erected. And I think that's kind of what Maggie was saying. That that statue was put up for a reason.
Right.
So you look at that reason.
Exactly.
The one I'm thinking of is Teddy Roosevelt. And I do get where people are saying, because he has two people behind him that kind of look like they're subjugated. And
well, one's an Indian and one's an Afro-American.
Right. So I get how people can look at it and perceive that. But now, what's the context? Why was it there? And what is it supposed to represent?
Well, the thing is, and I know a little bit about history. History tells us Teddy Roosevelt was one of the greatest, if not the greatest president of all time. And he definitely was not, I don't ever hear him saying that he was racist or anything like that. He was just the opposite. What I feel like that is, guys, is that, and I was like this in the wrestling business. I always tell people one of the reasons I was successful because I was an opportunist. And I think that's what, and I don't blame people for being an opportunist right now, especially black people, because they have been definitely taken advantage of. So right now they're going to ask for things like this, and they should ask for these things to be taken down. Don't mean they should, go take them down themselves. Go through law and have it taken down.
But you think that they're asking for your property, for what you have, that you owe them. We were not part of that, Sid. I hate it. That was a bad part of history. But
yes,
I'm not part of that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it for everybody because I'll put it out. You come to my house to take what Sid and I have worked for dang near 50 years. You better be right with the Lord before you through my door, because you're going to be on your way in a heartbeat. That's just how I feel. We have a right to defend what we've worked for.
right.
I've never had welfare. And there are people that need help. I get that, and I'm all for that. But don't dare come trying to take from me what I worked for dang near 50 years. It ain't going to go over well.
I'll give you an example of a statue that was taken down in Memphis. And again, I think it was done the wrong way. There was a statue of William Bedford, I think his name was, Forrest Bedford or something like that. And what it was, there's a cemetery over Memphis that's real famous, and a lot of the Confederate people were buried, just called Elmwood. It's one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the country. So they ended up taking his statue from his grave there and moving it into Midtown or downtown Memphis in a park. All right, so they just recently, and this is where it bothers people, some attorney from Nashville came in the middle of the night, bought that thing, and had it taken off somewhere, and no one knows where it is. My opinion was, if you don't want it in the middle of the city, I can understand that. Take it back to his grave, or you just can't take
That's
it,
right.
Burn it or throw it in the water or whatever, just because you don't like it. You just broke the law when you did that. Now, if you go,
Absolutely.
Get you a lawyer and go to the city or the state and get this thing, all it takes, I'm sure, is a petition to get these things done. I'm all for protest as well. Like you said, Maggie, as long as it's done right. I saw a thing on protest about a year ago, and it was about the Vietnam War and how the protests, that's when they were burning flags and draft cards and stuff like that. But they made an example of a good protest, and it was people that worked in Washington. What they did at their lunch break, they'd go outside and stand in quiet for that hour that they were on lunch. They didn't go tear anything down. They didn't catch any buildings on fire. Like Fannie Lou Hamer, she's from Drew, Mississippi. I actually read her autobiography. She's the one that got black women to vote, but she did it the right way. She went through legislation and got it done the right way, and that's the way we've got to do things. I heard today, right now, almost all the cities, especially New York, that the murder rate and the burglary and the armed robbery is an all-time high right now.
Absolutely. And they're wanting to defund our protectors, the police. That's so wrong. No, you can't do
that. Is wrong. Now, this is the thing is, I think that the cops have got a bad rap. I had an uncle he's dead now. He was my great uncle. He was one of the greatest human beings that I ever met in my life. He not a racist bone in his body. I think, like most of people talk about officers, majority of them, I think, are good guys. I know a lot of good police officers. I know a couple bad ones, but they're only a couple, and everybody knows here in town who they are. So again, you can't let a couple bad people make it bad for everyone. That's all about in New York.
Exactly.
The mayor of New York, Pelosi, said that they're going to have to probably lay off 27,000 city employees because of just don't have the money to pay anybody right now, unless they get help from the federal government. We're in a tough bind right now, everybody, on this pandemic. Now, let's talk about, I talked to a guy I'm doing an autograph signing for in New York at the end of this month. He said he's already done 3-4 autograph signings. So I guess the world is coming back to a little bit normal. Maggie, do you still keep up with wrestling?
I do some, yes.
Have you been watching any of that AEW?
Not had a chance yet, but you told me about that. When y'all all kind of retired, y'all were my favorites, and I just kind of backed off. I didn't watch as much then, but you mentioned that, and I'm gonna check it out.
Well, I like it because this thing is, and people probably disagree with this, but I like it because they make mistakes once in a while. Not everything isn't laid out and scripted, and they really work their butts off. And it reminds me a little bit of WCW. It's a different style. It's not, it's not everybody the same. And everybody's got a chance to, what I always say, everybody's got a chance to get over. They're not stopping anyone. So, but it's more on ad lib, which I like that better too. I don't like everything that's scripted out like WWE does it. So, it's fun to see a mistake once in a while.
To me, that was the best part of it. Is you
I
would watch
agree.
the mess ups, and it's like, oh,
Well, we
I
see
agree.
it now.
That made it real.
Well, it
Exactly.
does, Maggie. You're right. It made it real because it was real when you're making mistakes. So I think the scripted part, and I was a part of that anniversary show several years ago, and man, I'm telling you, everybody there is unhappy. I remember Heath Slater, he had to do an interview, and he wanted to change like one little word. And if he would have changed that one word, just phrased it a little bit, it would have been a better interview. But he was scared to do that because he would have got in trouble. Now, if I'd been in that spot and it being live TV, I would have changed it because I know I would have got myself over. A lot of times, like the WWE, they'll have things set up for you where you don't get over. And I think that's a big mistake. Let the people get over that can get over. Like Maggie, you said back in, you watched us back in the day, like me and Scott and Kevin and all those guys, Sting,
Right.
Sean, and Sean.
I was watching. I was watching when Danny Hodge and Grizzly Smith and Jake the Snake, all that when they first come out. Ted DiBiase back in the
Yeah.
early '70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when it was good.
That was some good stuff.
that's
It
Bill
really
Watts
was.
territory, wasn't it?
Yeah. Back then it was.
Yeah.
It sure was.
I'm gonna throw this up real quick, Sid, because Ryan Haskell said AEW is great, and then he said, "How is Sid with the Rhodes family? Any contact with Cody to get into AEW?" Hint, hint.
Well, they
Yeah.
know my number.
That's right, man. If you want, Sid, do you want to take a couple questions?
Yeah, let's take a question. Let's see what they got to say.
Okay, I'm going to put this one up because it was posted just a bit ago. But like I said, we're our forum for everybody, and Trisha seems to be a big fan of Trump too. So Trump 2020, there we go. Here is
You
one.
go, Trisha.
There we go. From Preston, it said, "Hello, Sid. You're my favorite wrestler, one of the biggest, meanest, and dominating wrestlers of all time. All the best, sir."
Thank you, buddy.
That is weird. There was a question on here I just saw. Oh my gosh, where'd it go? This thing flies by really quick, so I apologize. I'm going to peek back real quick. And here it was. From Giacomo. When Sid was posing with Hogan at SummerSlam 91, did you, Sid, feel like you were getting a louder pop?
Yeah, I think that people picked up on that. Every time me and Hogan were in the ring together doing whatever we were doing, I was getting a better pop than him. And it wasn't I was better than him. I think I am better than him. But it was just he'd had his run. And the business was changing. And what I was doing, people wanted to believe that because I wanted people to believe that I was real. and I made a point to make everything look real. And guys, if y'all just knew how silly the WWF was back in those days with Hogan, and Rob, we talked about it. Hogan's whole deal was based on Curly off the Three Stooges. His comeback, the whole 9 yards. If you watch how he wrestled, he copied Curly, and he did the old Austin Idol thing. It wasn't original. And then again, it just got boring. And we can only be on top for so long, and then we're going to get, if we get pushed hard enough as a, say, like he was a good guy, or what they call a baby face. It's almost like the same thing happened to Tim Tebow. He was so popular and so good, people started hating that kid. He didn't do anything but good things. And same thing with Hogan. He wasn't doing anything bad. It's just people get tired. And then the Northeast, where we were at a lot, the fans there were Hill fans anyway.
Well, and that's we talked about that too. When you start shoving a person down the people's throats, you know? And they did that with Hogan. They did it with Michaels. They did it with Brett. They did it with Triple H. But the people will tell you stop.
They do. This is what happens, Rob. It's not. I think in Vince's, for his point of view, he's talked. I talked to him about this before. One time he was telling me where he just did not like Lex Luger. He said, "But I've put so much money into the guy. I've got to use him." And so to the point where he was definitely shoving Lex down everybody's throat too. But when Vince puts money into you like that, he's going to get everything out of you, and that part of that is getting pushed down people's throat. Because he's going to get everything he can out of you.
I'm going to put this one up for Maggie. Let's see if she agrees. Robert here says Memphis has the best wrestling. Are you a Southern wrestling fan, Maggie?
I'm not. I am, but I'm down here in Louisiana. It's a little bit different.
Oh, that's right. It's a different territory.
Yeah, she was part of Bill Watts' territory. It was called the UWF.
That's right. I keep forgetting where that line is, and honestly, Maggie, I'm so sorry. I kept forgetting you were in Louisiana.
Well,
No
Bill
problem.
Watts, UWF was big. It was Mississippi. It was Louisiana. They even came up. It was pretty big territory. They were doing the Superdome way before Vince was doing big shows like that. That was a really good territory at one time.
I miss the territories. I do.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's one from Stuart. Sid, be honest. Your movie River of Darkness, how many thumbs up would you give it?
One.
No,
I'll tell you what. Actually, of all the independent films I did, and actually Kevin Nash and I were in that movie together. The cool thing about that movie, Rob, I told you about it. I got that movie. We got to kill the guy we killed in that movie. He was the original zombie of the Night of the Living Dead. Do you know his name, Rob?
We talked about it, and I remembered at the time. I am drawing a blank, so I'm trying to look it up really quick while we stall.
But anyway, that was the good part of that movie for me. And I thought it was a pretty good, well done, independent, low budget film. I like that better than the other one I did for him. I can't remember the other one I did. What was the name of it? With Kurt Angle was in it, but it was like a action deal. Well, I like horror films, and that's why I like River of Darkness. And I liked everybody on the set. We had a good time. We was there for 2 days, but I had a good time doing that. And I always had more fun doing independent films than I did like Get Ready to Rumble.
Well, the independent films, they give you a little bit more freedom as a person, like it doesn't when you get into a studio, they got time schedules, they got this and that, and then you just follow the lines. But the independents they're a bit more free.
Yeah.
And
less pressure.
The gentleman's name was William Heinzman.
William Heinzman, okay.
Yes. He was one of the original zombies from Night of the Living Dead.
Well, he would get the credit, and on the movie it says zombie, whatever, and that name didn't sound familiar.
I just double checked. He does have a credit for River of Darkness.
Okay, and his name was what again?
William Heinzman. See, he probably went by Bill. My guess, Bill Heinzman.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun getting to kill that guy. And then he was somebody in horror films. And to me, that was a big deal.
Oh, wait. Yeah. It even says here River of Darkness as Bill Heinzman. So, yeah, he went by Bill there.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Let me see. Richie says, Sid, just say hi to me, please. Thanks, Richie.
Hey, Richie.
There we go. Here's a good question for you. Which WWF title win did you enjoy more? When you beat Shawn or when you beat Brett?
When I beat Shawn. It was a more meaningful match. It was the deal with Brett, it was a smaller show. I go by, of course, that was Madison Square Garden. Rob, we talked about that. That was, to me, probably that's when I got myself off the whipping post. So the one where I beat Shawn. The deal where I beat Brett had to be a team player and do that for me because Shawn was supposed to put the belt back on me, but he retired after the show in the Alamo Dome. So that's why Brett had step in and do that for me.
Those I remember. Those were good matches.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your favorite Sid match? You've watched a lot of them.
Oh, I guess the it's really hard to say. I done got old. My memories has faded some, but Sid was always a favorite. He really was.
What were some of your favorite matches, Maggie?
Oh shoot, Sid.
Just in general.
Who was your favorite?
I remember.
Who was your
Michael
favorite?
P.S. Hayes back in the day.
Michael P. Well, see, I liked the Freebirds as a kid too, Maggie.
Freebirds.
Yeah, the Freebirds were cool.
Yes, they were good.
Now, knowing Michael Hayes personally, he's an idiot.
He was.
I mean, but no, I love the Freebirds. I mean, I remember when I first met him, I thought, man, because that was like my favorite wrestlers, the Freebirds, all of them, because they were just so cool. But then when I met them, I was really disappointed. I remember one time we were at the Boston Gardens, one of my first shows at the Boston Gardens, and Steve Williams had beat up Michael Hayes and Terry Garvin, or Jimmy Garvin, I think it was. And they both were bleeding out their noses and their ears and everything. And Steve Williams had beat them up in the ring that night because they wouldn't act right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were beat up, man. And it was weird. Right after that, an agent came out. I can't remember who the agent was. And they said, hey, Marvin Hagler's out here. He wants to meet you. And I thought, this is my first time I hadn't even been on TV that often. And I said, everybody in the locker room that he wants to meet me. So I went out there. Now I was put in a position. This is when the business was still being protected.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to really bring people in the locker room. But I thought, okay, now I just saw Steve Williams beat up both the Freebirds for not acting right. I said, now, if I don't bring him in, he might try to beat me up. If I do bring him in, he might try to beat me up too. So I said, I'll just bring him in. And Marvin Hagler, was one of the meanest guys of all time boxing. And he said, he came in, and I'll never forget this. He said, hey, man, you guys are great athletes. And I forget this. He said, but what y'all do is fake. Man, Steve Williams said, you motherfucker. He said, I'll beat your ass. And he said, if you don't get out of here, and Marvin Hagler backed out of the dressing room.
Really?
Yeah. Steve Williams was probably, at that point, probably really the toughest guy in the business. Or if not the toughest, one of the toughest.
That would have been an interesting locker room to be standing in at that moment.
Well, the thing is, again, I just seen him beat up two guys at one time. And then they didn't want to fight him in the dressing room, so I knew he was pretty tough. And then Marvin Hagler didn't want to fight him either.
See, the Freebirds, they were the first wrestling team, I guess, that confused me because I really wanted to cheer for them. But like you said, they were the heels.
Right.
That was the first time I actually got behind heels in wrestling.
Well, they were cool.
Exactly.
That's what it was. They were cool.
And they had the most wicked entrance music, Bad Street USA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay, let me see. We'll just throw this one last thing because Richie messaged back. Right on. Thanks, Sid. You're my favorite. Much appreciated. There we go. And last one here. We've talked about this match a lot. Sid versus Sting for Halloween Havoc 90. That is still one of my favorite to watch of yours.
Well, it's probably the most fun I've had in a match. And the reason was I didn't know what the finish was. I didn't know that they were going to do that deal where Sting was going to come back out and beat me until it happened. And when you're a part of something like that, it's just more fun.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine. Like you said, if they can fool you, they can fool the fans.
Right.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's it for tonight.
Well, Maggie, we'd like to thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me. Both of y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, girl. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Excellent. That was awesome.
That was great.
And see, that's cool, though. Like you said, this is a show about fact. You want to try and get as much fact out there. So it's nice to have that other side.
Well, Rob, I don't know if Maggie's hung up yet or not. The thing about it was I've watched TV over the last couple of days, and I've noticed that, even ESPN or CNN or even PBS News, they're talking about these subjects right now. And I don't think it's boring. I think I want to hear different perspectives. I don't want to just know mine or yours,
Yep.
And Maggie's got a really great different perspective on all this stuff, the virus, the election. And I don't want to hear just one side.
Yeah. But the hardest part right now, and I think I told you this, I realized I was doing it. I was watching the news for the bang.
Yes.
I wasn't watching it for the facts. I wanted to see the bang. I was actually watching a news article that was fact, and it got boring, and I shut it off.
Well, I was doing the same thing, Rob. I was watching those briefings every night just because it was funny to listen to Trump give those reporters crap, and I was laughing about it. To me, that's what I was watching it for, just to watch him be funny. And then after a while, then it started becoming irritating. It wasn't funny anymore.
Yep. But that's it. That's when we stopped looking for fact. We were just going for the bang. So
We're going for the bang. Well, you're exactly right.
That's why I think what Chris Evans did with that website is so crucial, because it brings fact back. That way people can make a judgment call, not based on Republican, not based on Democrat, but based on fact.
Right.
Wow. This was a good episode, man. Thanks for sitting in. I'm glad everybody got to send in some questions too.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we'll end it for this week.
All right, Rob. Thank you very much.
You bet.